Picture this: rockets, roaring to life, soaring into polar orbit. Not from the familiar pads in Florida, but from the wild, windswept coasts of Scotland. It sounds like science fiction, right? But it's very real. The United Kingdom has this incredibly bold ambition to grab a huge piece of the global space market by 2030 and become a true spacefaring nation. It's a massive, massive undertaking. So, that brings up the big question. How do you even do that? How do you build a whole space nation, essentially from the ground up? Well, the answer probably isn't what you're thinking. It's not just about bigger engines or sleeker launch pads. The real hurdle, the thing that will make or break this entire dream, is a lot less glamorous, but, it's infinitely more important. And this really gets to the heart of it. You've got the dream on one side, all that fire and fury of a rocket launch, but it is completely 100% dependent on the reality on the other side. Quiet, complex financial contracts being signed in the City of London. To get rockets off the ground in Scotland, you first have to build an ironclad financial foundation. You see, for years, the UK has kind of been this quiet giant in the space industry, a world leader in building really sophisticated small satellites. But there's always a catch. To actually get them into orbit, they had to pack them up and ship them overseas. The government's Launch UK program is all about changing that, creating their own launch capability and controlling the whole process right from UK soil. Now, here's where it gets super interesting. We're seeing two totally different approaches on the ground. You've got Saxavord way up in the Shetland Islands. It's a private venture, and guess what? It's already fully licensed. They're ready to go. Then you have Space Hub Sutherland, which is a public-private partnership. Both have incredible geographic advantages, but they also face their own unique risks, from just brutal weather to delicate environmental concerns. These aren't just engineering problems. They're financial puzzles that absolutely have to be solved. But this whole ambition, it runs smack into a major roadblock. Launching stuff into space is, to put it lightly, incredibly risky. And the very market that's supposed to protect against that risk, the space insurance market, it's facing a bit of a crisis of its own. This chart just lays the problem bare. It's pretty stark. In 2023, the space insurance market took in about $557 million in premiums. Okay? But it paid out nearly $1 billion in claims. That is what you call a hard market, when these massive losses make insurance way harder to get and a lot more expensive. I mean, any business model losing almost $500 million a year is just completely unsustainable. And we're not talking about a bunch of small claims adding up. A massive piece of that loss came from just one single event. The main antenna on the Viasat-3 satellite failed to deploy. That's it. One part doesn't work right in orbit, and bam, it triggers a claim for nearly $500 million. This is the kind of catastrophic failure that gives insurance underwriters nightmares and makes them, understandably, very, very cautious. It all comes down to this one crucial word: bankability. Look, a spaceport needs billions in investment, but no bank on Earth is going to loan you that money without a guarantee that they won't lose every penny if a rocket blows up. That guarantee, that's the insurance policy. So, no insurance, no bankability. No bankability, no capital. And no capital means no space program. It is really that simple. Okay, so you have a shaky insurance market and this absolute need for bankability. How does the UK solve this puzzle? Well, the unexpected hero in this whole story isn't a brilliant engineer or a billionaire investor. It's a piece of legislation, the Space Industry Act of 2018, and it completely changed the rules of the game. Under the old law from way back in 1986, if you were a UK company launching a satellite, you were stuck with this rigid fixed liability limit, usually around 60 million euros. It didn't matter if you were launching a tiny CubeSat or a giant telecom satellite, same number. The new 2018 Act, which was designed just for launches from the UK, basically threw that whole model out the window for something much, much smarter. It introduced something called the Modeled Insurance Requirement, or MIR. This is the secret sauce. Instead of a one-size-fits-all number, regulators now look at each specific mission, the rocket, its flight path, who lives underneath that path, and they calculate a custom insurance requirement based on the actual risk. So for a small rocket launching from Shetland over the empty North Atlantic, that could mean a much lower, more affordable insurance bill. And that makes the UK a way more competitive place to launch from. This new, flexible law didn't just make things cheaper, though. It actually lit a fire under the insurance industry itself. Underwriters in London started designing brand new types of coverage to solve the very specific, very modern risks that come with launching from the UK. And here's a wild fact for you. For a spaceport in Scotland, the single biggest financial threat isn't some catastrophic explosion. It's the weather. I mean, the North Atlantic weather is just notoriously brutal. You can't launch in high winds, and if you're waiting for a clear window, you could be paying a highly skilled team to just sit around for weeks, burning through cash every single day. The solution is this brilliant financial tool called parametric insurance. It's beautiful in its simplicity. You just agree on a trigger, let's say wind speeds recorded by the Met Office staying above 25 knots for 4 days straight. If that trigger gets hit, the policy pays out a fixed amount, automatically. No paperwork, no arguments, no delays. Just an immediate cash injection to cover the costs of waiting. It turns an unpredictable risk into a totally manageable expense. And the innovation doesn't stop there. I mean, let's be real, modern satellites are basically flying supercomputers. The line between a cyber attack and a physical disaster is just disappearing. A hacker who jams a signal, or even scarier, disables the flight termination system, could cause a total loss of the mission. So now insurers are bundling these new cyber-physical policies that cover everything from ransomware on a ground station to the fallout from a spoofing attack in orbit. Okay, but this next part is where the UK's strategy goes from being just smart to being truly visionary. It's not just about managing the risks we have now. It's about creating a system that actually financially rewards good behavior and turns space sustainability into a competitive advantage. This quote really nails the whole idea. It's like how a building with a sprinkler system gets cheaper fire insurance, right? The UK is building a framework where if you're a satellite operator and you design your satellite to be easily grabbed and removed from orbit when it dies, you get a direct financial reward. And here's how it works in practice. Regulators calculate a baseline insurance number for a mission. But then, if the operator can prove they're using sustainable practices, like cleaner rocket fuel or a solid plan to deorbit their satellite, that insurance requirement gets lowered. They end up having to buy less insurance, which saves them real money. So what does this all mean at the end of the day? It means the UK is building a space economy where sustainability isn't just an afterthought or some extra cost you have to bear. It becomes a line item on your balance sheet. It's a discount. Being a responsible actor in space directly improves your bottom line. And that leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. The UK is pioneering a model where finance and insurance aren't just a safety net for when things go wrong. They're actively shaping a safer, cleaner, and more sustainable future in space. So the real question is, as every other nation starts to build out its own space ambitions, will this British blueprint become the new gold standard for everyone else?